Hello, this is Reindeer's Bees, and today we're going to talk about Kamon Reynolds rules. So, if you've watched any amount of bee videos on YouTube, you've probably heard of Kamon Reynolds. He has over 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, and he's the founder of the Hive Life Conference with his wife Laurel. And Kamon Reynolds has three main rules. He talks about this all the time. If you've heard him speak for more than 10 minutes, you'll know him. So, he believes you need great queens, dead mites, and good nutrition. So I've been watching his channel for about 3 years now, and I couldn't agree more. These things have helped me so much in this time to have healthy bees, bees that make it through long winters and thrive throughout the summer. So great queens. Great queens are just so important for if you have one hive or 1,000. They're leading the colony, they're laying all the eggs, they're making the hive grow. There are other factors that have to be there to make them be great, but some queens are just better than other queens. So you need to find a buyer that's really good around you, that you trust, you think they make quality queens, and they have good temperament, all the traits you're looking for. Or you need to make your own queens. Now, I've been making my own queens since 2021, so I haven't bought a queen since 2020. And it's changed everything for me. I requeen all my hives every year, and I'm able to do that without paying $1 more to buy any queens. So second rule, I think it's probably the most important rule: dead mites. So row mites came to the U.S. I think it was 1987 they were first discovered, and if you don't take care of mites, your bees are really going to suffer. So you want to be testing throughout your entire season. And once they hit your threshold, whether that be 3 mites or 6 mites, 1-2%, you need to be treating and then making sure you get back for that test after you treat. That's so important. I haven't really done that well yet. I will test most of the season, but I have trouble getting back right after I treat. So I'm going to be better about that this year. That's what I'm telling myself. So yeah, you need to make sure those mites are dead. And if you're in the north, your bees are gonna die over the winter because the mites eat the bee's fat body, and that weakens them. And they need to be really strong to make it, over 200 days as a winter bee. So make sure you're killing those mites. So his third rule: good nutrition. So good nutrition is so important. Mostly when I say good nutrition, that means like making sure they have enough pollen and nectar, and you can supplement that with pollen patty. Pollen patties, you can feed dry pollen sub, and then make sure, and you can also feed sucrose syrup, sugar water. So I only supplementally feed early in the year. So when the crocuses are blooming here in Maine, that's when I get the pollen patties on my hives, because they're going to start rearing a lot more brood at that time, and I want to make sure that they have no reason to raise any less brood. So you want to put that nutrition on when they need it. So there's not much pollen at that time. I want them to brood up. What Kamon talks about when he talks about good nutrition, it's mostly during his summer dearths. So they get a long 2 or 3 month summer dearth in Tennessee, starting I think in June. And if you don't feed sugar syrup or pollen patties to hives that need it, they can go downhill really quickly. They could be a really strong colony and you take a lot of their food away, and then they have to last that long period without any incoming food, and it can be really hard on them. Especially if you have splits, those are going to be your most important colonies to feed. They need to grow. So if they don't have the right protein and the right sugar, they're not going to grow. They're not going to have all the reserves that the big colonies do from the flow. They'll have been small and not been able to collect as much of it. So you need to make sure they have that good nutrition. So the other, that's Kamon's 3 rules. So I would add a 4th. I think it's really important for your bees to fit your box. So if you have 5 frames of bees, and they're struggling in a double D colony, it's not a mystery why. When there's so much more space, when there's a lot of space for a small amount of bees, it's really challenging for them. It's hard for them to heat and cool, hard for them to protect from pests like hive beetle, you need to reduce their space to the size. So if you see a colony, like especially in the north, because that's where my experience is, that maybe they're only 7 or 8 frames of bees or 6 frames of bees, you want to turn them into a single deep for the winter, because it's going to be really hard for them to overwinter with so much space in a double deep. And that's saved me several times going into the winter. And if you have 5 frames of bees and it's midsummer and all the pests are getting at your hives and it's a dearth and there's robbing, you want to have them in that 5 frame nuke, because it's going to be really hard for them to protect that big box. I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.